A student stares at her screen at 3 a.m., eyes burning, scrolling endlessly. Another Reddit thread, another YouTube video, another sleepless night. She types, "What happens after we die?" Another tab, "Are we living in a simulation?" Another, "What existed before the Big Bang?" 2,500 years ago, the most brilliant minds gathered before Buddha. They had 14 questions. Questions about the universe, consciousness, death and suffering. Questions that modern science still struggles to answer. They stood before the most enlightened being of their time and asked, "Tell us the truth." His response, silence. Yet despite answering thousands of questions in his lifetime, Buddha refused to answer these 14. And when you discover which questions they were and why he stayed silent, it might change how you approach life's greatest mysteries. I'm Peter from Buddha's Wisdom. Today we'll uncover the 14 forbidden questions. Questions so profound, they still haunt scientists, philosophers, and seekers to this day. But before we continue, think about this. Have you ever found yourself lost in these same questions, searching for answers in the middle of the night? Because by the end of this video you may realize, Buddha's silence wasn't avoidance. It was a key that might just unlock the way you face life's greatest mysteries. Imagine the most advanced physics lab on Earth, deep beneath the Swiss Alps. Scientists at CERN smash particles at nearly light speed, spending billions of dollars, all trying to answer one question: how did our universe begin? Above ground, telescopes peer billions of light years into space, searching for the edge of everything, while quantum computers calculate the possibility of parallel universes. 2,500 years ago, the greatest minds in ancient India pondered these same mysteries. They turned to Buddha, certain he'd reveal the truth about existence itself. Is the universe eternal, they asked? Did it have a beginning, or has it always existed? Buddha sat in silence. But this wasn't simple avoidance. In other teachings, Buddha actively encouraged questioning, especially when it led to practical wisdom. He taught the Kalama people to question everything, even his own words. Yet, with these cosmic questions, he saw something different. Is it infinite? They pressed. Does space go on forever? Or does it have an end? More silence. The interesting part: modern physics is finally catching up to something Buddha saw 2,500 years ago. At the quantum level, time breaks down. Space becomes uncertain. The deeper scientists look, the stranger reality becomes. Take the Big Bang. Scientists trace everything back 13.8 billion years, but ask them what came before that. They hit a wall of mystery, just like those ancient questioners sitting before Buddha. Stephen Hawking put it perfectly. Even if we find the ultimate theory of everything, we still won't know why the universe exists at all. But here's where it gets personal. Right now you might be wondering about your own place in this vast cosmos, maybe lying awake at night picturing infinite space, or questioning if we're all just part of some cosmic computer simulation. These aren't just abstract puzzles. They're questions that shake the foundation of how we see ourselves, how we live our lives, how we face our biggest challenges. And Buddha's silence, that mysterious response to these cosmic questions, holds a clue about something far more important than the size of the universe. Think about it. If you knew right now whether the universe was eternal or finite, would it change how you're going to spend today? Would it solve your real challenges? Would it ease your actual suffering? Every second, the universe expands, galaxies spiral outward into endless darkness, while quantum particles pop in and out of existence. creating their own tiny universes of possibility. But those ancient truth seekers wanted more than theories. They demanded certainty, just like we do today. A physicist recently made headlines claiming we might be living in a simulation. Elon Musk says the odds are 1,000,000,000 to 1 that this is base reality. And millions watched his interview, hungry for answers. Look at your phone. How many tabs do you have open right now about life's mysteries? How many YouTube videos have you watched about quantum physics and consciousness? How many late-night conversations have you had about whether anything is real? We're not so different from those ancient seekers standing before Buddha, demanding to know if space goes on forever, if time had a beginning, if reality is really real. But Buddha saw something they didn't, something that modern science is starting to understand. When scientists try to measure a quantum particle's position, they lose track of its momentum. The more precisely they look at one aspect of reality, the more uncertain another becomes. It's as if the universe itself is telling us, some questions aren't meant to be answered, at least not in the way we think. Just like Buddha's silence, the universe whispers, not all truths can be grasped. Some must be lived. And this leads us to the next set of questions Buddha refused to answer. Questions that hit even closer to home. Questions about the very nature of who and what we are. The human brain, 3 pounds of tissue that somehow creates your entire world, every thought, every memory, every sensation. Right now in labs at Harvard and Stanford, scientists hook people up to brain scanners, trying to find where consciousness lives, where you actually are. A neuroscientist can point to your brain and say this part lights up when you feel love. This part activates with fear, but they still can't tell you what consciousness actually is. 2,500 years ago, the seekers asked Buddha, are mind and body the same thing? Or are they different? Buddha's silence echoed through the monastery. Today we're asking the same questions, but with a modern twist. When OpenAI's chatbot started writing poetry and discussing emotions, people wondered, could a computer become conscious? When we create artificial minds, are we creating artificial souls? Think about your earliest memory. That child in your mind. Are they really you? Every cell in your body has been replaced since then. Every thought has shifted. Even your personality has transformed. Yet something feels continuous. A Harvard researcher recently made waves when he suggested consciousness might be fundamental to the universe, like gravity or space-time, that our brains don't create consciousness, they receive it. But here's where Buddha's silence becomes fascinating, because the next questions he refused to answer take us even deeper into this mystery. Questions about what happens to consciousness after death. Every culture, every civilization, has tried to peek behind death's curtain. Right now, scientists at the University of Virginia document cases of children with detailed memories of past lives, while researchers in Switzerland measure the weight of consciousness leaving the body. Hospitals report patients describing their own surgeries from above the operating table. But 2,500 years ago, the questions went straight to the heart of it all. Does an enlightened being exist after death, they asked Buddha, or do they cease to exist? Do they both exist and not exist? Or neither exist nor not exist? Each time, silence. Now stop and notice something. These weren't simple yes or no questions. They covered every logical possibility. Existence, non-existence, both, neither. The questioners thought they had Buddha cornered, but Buddha saw a trap in these questions, the same trap we fall into today. Think about the last time you lost someone, the questions that haunted you. Where are they now? Can they see me? Will I meet them again? A scientist recently asked a dying patient to send a coded message from the other side, while tech billionaires spend fortunes trying to upload their minds to computers, hoping to cheat death itself. But Buddha's silence points to something deeper. In the Agivacchagotta Sutta, he asks a powerful question. If a fire goes out, does it go north, south, east, or west? The answer, the question itself, makes no sense, and when a flame extinguishes, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just stopped burning. And this brings us to the final set of questions, the ones that touch your life right now. Questions about why we suffer and who's responsible. If these insights are shifting the way you see life, you're not alone. Every week we explore wisdom that challenges the way we think. So if you're on this journey with us, subscribe and stay connected. Look around you. Right now, someone's getting bad news in a doctor's office. Someone's relationship is ending. Someone's dreams are shattering. And the questions start. Why me? Whose fault is this? Could I have prevented it? The ancient seekers demanded answers from Buddha. Is suffering self-created? Created by others? Both? Neither? Buddha's response. That same powerful silence. Consider your own life. When you lose a job, is it purely your fault? When a relationship ends, is it entirely the other person's doing? When anxiety strikes, who do we blame? Modern research reveals fascinating patterns. Studies show that chronic stress involves a complex interplay of genetics, environment, and personal choices. A groundbreaking paper in Nature Neuroscience recently mapped how childhood experiences, daily habits, and social connections all weave together in our experience of suffering. Yet we keep searching for simple answers. A woman recently went viral sharing her cancer diagnosis on TikTok. The comments flooded with people debating, was it genetics? Diet? Environmental toxins? Bad karma? We're desperate to blame someone, something, to make sense of pain. Modern psychology calls this the fundamental attribution error. When good things happen, we credit ourselves. When bad things happen, we blame others, or the universe, or fate. Think about your own suffering right now. Maybe it's anxiety about the future, regret about the past, fear of what's coming. Who do you blame? So what do these questions mean for you? Let's make this practical. When you're stressed about the future, lying in bed wondering if everything will work out, Buddha's silence offers a different path. Instead of endless questioning, focus on what you can do right now. When relationships keep you awake, mind spinning with what-ifs and forever questions, the ancient wisdom whispers, be present today. And when big decisions loom, when you're paralyzed searching for the perfect choice, remember, Buddha's silence wasn't about avoiding answers. It was about redirecting our energy to questions that actually serve us. But here's where everything connects. Remember those questions about the universe, about consciousness, about death? They all share something with suffering, and they're all questions that trap us, like quicksand. The more we struggle for answers, the deeper we sink. And now, we're ready for Buddha's masterstroke, the real reason behind his silence. A truth so powerful, it can transform how you face every challenge in your life. Picture a man struck by a poisoned arrow, blood flowing, life draining away. A doctor rushes to help, but the man stops them. "Wait," he says. "Before you remove this arrow, I need to know who shot it, what their name is, what village they're from, what kind of bow they used." Buddha's voice rises with urgency. The man would die before getting these answers. And there it is, the reason for his silence, all those cosmic questions, all those philosophical debates. They're like demanding to know the archer's height, while the poison seeps deeper. Look at your own life right now. What arrows pierce your heart? Stress about the future, anxiety about relationships, fear of failure. But instead of removing these arrows, what questions do you chase? Buddha wasn't rejecting curiosity. He was revealing something deeper. Why we ask these questions in the first place. Are we searching for truth, or just trying to escape uncertainty? These questions, like the poisoned arrow, keep us trapped, not because they're wrong to ask, but because they make us forget the real work, freeing ourselves from suffering, right here, right now. A recent study from Stanford showed something remarkable. People spend almost 47% of their time thinking about something other than what they're doing. And here's the key. The more they do this, the less happy they are. The most successful people, the happiest people, they're often the ones who've learned to be comfortable with uncertainty. Think about water. When you're really thirsty, you don't need to know its molecular structure, its source, its journey. You just need to drink. This is Buddha's silence in action, not rejecting questions, but pointing to something more important. Freedom. This isn't just ancient philosophy echoing through time. It's a living practice for your daily life. When your mind spins with questions about the universe, consciousness, or your own path, notice the nature of your questions. Feel their weight. Ask yourself if an answer would change your next breath, your next step, your next moment. Buddha's silence wasn't the absence of wisdom, it was wisdom itself speaking in a language more profound than words, teaching us to dance with uncertainty rather than fight it. Modern life bombards us with answers. Google at our fingertips and social media gurus claiming certainty. Self-help books promising all the solutions. But what if we're missing something profound? Something Buddha saw 2,500 years ago. Those 14 questions, they're not just ancient history. They live in every lab trying to crack the code of consciousness, every telescope searching for the edge of space, every person lying awake at night wondering about death. A quantum physicist recently said something fascinating. The more we understand about the universe, the more mysterious it becomes. Buddha knew this. His silence wasn't ignorance, it was insight. Think about a child looking at the stars. They don't need theories about nuclear fusion to feel wonder. They don't need equations to experience awe. Right now in your life, what would change if you stopped demanding answers? If instead of forcing life to make sense, you let it unfold? The latest neuroscience shows something remarkable. When we let go of needing absolute answers, our brains become more creative, more resilient, more alive. Those ancient seekers eventually understood. Freedom isn't found in answering every question. It's found in knowing which questions serve us and which ones trap us. This mystery, this not knowing, it's not our enemy. It might be our greatest teacher. Look at your phone one more time, those late-night questions that keep you scrolling. They're not your enemy. They're not distractions. They're invitations to live more deeply, more authentically. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, try something different. Instead of reaching for answers, reach for awareness. Notice how it feels to let life be mysterious, to let questions be your companions rather than your tormentors. If this perspective shifted something for you today, share your story in the comments. What questions have you been wrestling with? How might embracing uncertainty change your approach? This is Peter from Buddha's Wisdom. And remember, wisdom isn't about finding all the answers. it's about learning to live with the questions. Because the moment you stop running from uncertainty, the moment you allow the mystery to simply be, that's when real freedom begins.